Hey everyone, thank you for joining my Discord. So, right off the bat, I do have to give my disclosure. I am not a financial advisor. I'm nowhere near qualified as one. So, everything you see on here is for educational purposes only. And all this stuff you're going to see is the things that I'm doing. So, people want me to be transparent on what I'm doing. So, look, this is the bot that I created for myself. I'm sharing what it's actually posting so you guys can follow along. It's not meant for you to just, oh, this is a trade, let me trade this. There's always going to be, a little bit of input on your end. And I'm going to go over a few things of what I do to improve these odds because, again, no bot out there is going to be perfect. I've been in plenty of rooms that charge up to $100, $200 a month. This room is free, right? I'll probably put a tip jar if anybody appreciates the work that I'm doing. But for right now, it's going to be free. I can't guarantee it'll always be free. But let's get started. So, if you go over to the scalp trades, keep in mind, this bot that I have here is designed, and I'll give you a view of what it sees. It's designed to look for reversals. This is not a bot that's going to be looking for breakouts where a coin's going to pump off or something like that. These are also meant for scalp trades, meaning you get in for a little bit and you get out for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like when I get into these trades, I don't try to see if it can go a little higher, right? It gives you an entry, which is here. And I always put higher or lower, and I'll explain that in a little bit. It gives you a stop loss area and a target. The target is where a lot of people tend to, FOMO a little bit, and that's where people tend to fail a lot. This bot sometimes, let's say like over here, right? It gave you an entry point, which is right here, a stop loss, and a target. But as you can see, it still kept going. And that's okay, because again, this bot's not meant for the big old trade. This is meant to be like a quick in and out. You don't have to keep watching it. Okay, so there are times where, when it does give you an entry, it goes up way too fast. And by the time you're going to get in, it's almost already to its target. So at this point, there's no point to get in. Or maybe if you look at the entry point and the target, might not be that big. So again, you might not want to be in. Okay, whenever you get a entry, a target, and a stop loss, you kind of want to weigh the options a little bit. Again, kind of put your own info. Don't just heavily rely on the bot. It does a really good job. Like here out of the last 4 trades, it's done 75%. The way this is built, I can't do any back test, go that far back. I've only done forward testing with this, and that's how I know it's worked. So in the last 4, it's actually failed one, which the reason I'm bringing this one up because this comes up to my next thing that one needs to learn and understand to get more successful trades, right? This is going to give you a stop loss, and this stop loss is based off the stop loss everybody does, the most recent high or low. But you need to understand, even though the bot says, hey, you know what, stop loss is at 1235, you might want to make it a little bigger. Why? Because this happens all the time where the stop loss is here. You see how I went up to it, hit it, it went up, hit it, came right back down. So you always want to make the stop loss a little higher. Doesn't have to be a big amount, just a little higher. And this would have been a successful trade instead of it counting bad. Now, I'm actually working with my developer to actually implement this. So down the road, this part will be fixed. So that way it'll give you the correct stop loss. But for right now, you need to understand when there is a stop loss, you might want to make it just a little bigger, whether if it's on the top or a little lower, if it's on the bottom. And this will actually help increase your rate because a lot of times they go up just to, find your stop loss and then it drops. But again, there are times where it gives you a price and by the time you check, the price is already pushed up a lot, right? But then remember, the entry points where you want to get as close as you can to the entry point. So if it goes up, don't get in. It's not even worth it if it's almost there, especially if it's like a small one like this. If it retraces, that's when you can actually look to get in. Because then hey, you know what? When it comes back up, you'll actually earn a little bit more. And if you get in down here and it gets stopped out, well, now you take a smaller hit, right? Instead of being all the way up here as an entry point. So these are the things that I tend to do every time there's a trade. I don't just hop in as soon as it gives me a trade. I want to look at it. You know what? Oh, it gave me a trade. You know what? Let me look at this. This is in the 30-minute range, so you still have a little bit of time. You don't have to rush to the computer and be like, oh, there's a trade. take your time, look at this, do your own research, maybe do your own little indicators. Maybe you come in here, you look at like, oh well, it's a flag pattern, so it kind of lines up with what he says. So you want to add your own stuff, right? You don't want to just rely only on this. That way you increase your odds. But these are little tips that I recommend if you decide to follow what I'm doing. Again, I'm not charging any of this stuff, so I'm not going to be over here guaranteeing you like other rooms where it's like, hey, pay me $50-$60 a month, and you know what, like this bot's going to make you $1 million. This bot's kind of just to like help you out in cases of reversal. Like this one's a really nice one, and you can even tell, and like I mentioned earlier, where let's say it dropped a little bit, but the target's down here, you can, there's still plenty to benefit off of. And another thing too, the target that it gives you is where it thinks it can reverse. It's not perfect because look, again, like I said over here, it got out way earlier, right? Because of all this, but at the same time, the target was almost at the top. The same thing with this was almost at the bottom, but then it still dropped a little more. This one, look at that. It came all the way down. That's pretty much kind of close to the bottom. So don't get greedy thinking like, oh, if you get in here, stop loss here, and then like it keeps going up, tells you to get out here, but you're like, oh, but it's still going. Unless you add your own, TA, and you're like, what? I know this is going to go further. And you know what? You can stay in, maybe get out once our first red candle prints, because I do use Hekanashi candles. Which brings me to the next point. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes when this print, the price, the way Hekanashi candle works is every candle of these is based off an average price of the whole candle. So all these green candles right here are based off of average. So even though the price is down here, the price could be a little bit higher than normal. And this is why I always say, hey, wait for it to be, this price or lower, this price or higher. So if it goes up, don't get in, don't rush in, don't worry, let it come back down and you can get in. Or if it's already pushed up too much, you know what? It's okay. There's going to be many more trades, as you can see on here. This is our current one right now. So if I go back to the Discord, there's like plenty of trades that it shows. Currently, we failed one after a while, and I'll touch upon that right now. So right now we actually have one, and it's ongoing for right now, and it's just kind of like going sideways. Now, again, if you would have got in here, or when it reversed, you get in, it would have dropped. You can get out and make a nice little profit. Again, you don't have to like stay in. I don't stay in half the time. Like half the time, as soon as I feel like, hey, I get in, I'm up like $100, $200, I'm out. I'm not trying to be greedy because there's always another trade, and that's one of the biggest parts. Like people get in here and they're still in here waiting. It's like, no, you should have gotten out and it dropped. Like, yeah, I see it can go all the way down here, but at the same time, do you want to sit there and wait? Like it's been a few hours now. It's like if it drops, maybe you see a green candle in here, you know what? Time to get out. You still made a nice little percentage, 130, which again, these are scalp trades. 130, you do like a 10x, a 20x, that turns to really good money. So remember, nothing here is guaranteed. You want to add your own TA, but this is a start. This is kind of like your first indicator to say, hey, look, this is showing it's going to be a reversal. I was just doing my own TA, or let's say, you're doing your charts and you're like, hey, I think it's going to reverse right now. And then all of a sudden you get an alert that, hey, my bot's saying, hey, we can reverse now. Now you have a little bit more, confidence to like, hey, you know what? Let me short this. This is probably going to drop down. Here's another good indication of like, it didn't really drop that much and it could have went a little more. But again, don't be greedy. There's always another trade. This one out of two trades did 100. But again, it doesn't go that far back, just the way that this channel in the background works. But other than that, another tip, like I mentioned earlier, if you see a bunch of successful trades, you don't want to trade. You want to be careful when you enter, because there's always one. If you see like 3-4 trades back to back that actually failed, that's when you actually want to get in, right? Because no bot's ever going to be perfect. You are going to have some losses. The key thing is to, get a bunch of more wins than you lose. The bot's actually been doing pretty good, so I hope this is helpful for you. Just remember, this is not financial advice in any way. Don't expect this bot to make $1 million unless you add your, your own information or TA or whatever. Now, I do offer a course on how to do this, how the bot actually works. So, because I only do a certain amount of coins, and for any reason, let's say you want to be able to do this on your other coins. The course will be able to help you that, because then you can understand how to do these trades yourself. You don't have to rely on this bot to do it. For that is if you go over to Tinhdicator.com, you go scroll down to go to Ko-Fi, you go to shop, and this is the scout video that I have, and in this you'll actually learn how to do the setups as well as understanding how emotions affect your trades, because that's honestly the biggest thing. There's so many trading videos out there that will give you the information, like they'll give you a little trading method and then send you on your way and you're done. No, like sometimes they'll touch up on money management, but money management's huge, as well as understanding your emotions involved in trading, because those two alone can wreck you. It doesn't matter how good the trading system, the bot, the script, or whatever it is. If you can't master your emotions and money management, you're not going to be successful. So this is a course that I do offer in case somebody wants to take their trading skills a little bit higher. But other than that, pretty much it. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.